Yeah.
I'm Dan Carlson, one element of us three blokes.
We're still doing elements.
I guess. I don't know.
It's a reflection of my fear.
It's a reflection of evil. I'm John Kadolf. I am another element quarter of us three blokes. And as you all have learned, well, I don't have to repeat it. You saw it. Send me fan mail.
Yes.
I'll put the link of my OnlyFans in the notes.
It's gonna be a very nerdy older OnlyFans.
Hi, I'm Dave Nesbitt, another element of us three blokes, one of four-ish things, stuff, and yeah. Anyway, I'm drinking Vape Tricks today, and a Zipline Kolsch, because it's Friday, it's a day off. I don't know how many of those I'm going to get in the future, so I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm the Mad Hat Cat. I am 25% of us three blokes. And much like that math is wibbly wobbly, squishy, one might even say. So is my drink today. I wish I would have waited to shake it up, because all of the blue spirulina, I think, in this kombucha, when it settles to the bottom and you turn it over, it's like
kind of like this movie.
Dave chose our first softcore porn review to do, and so I'm going to let Dave. Anyone that wants to
take it away.
Anyone that wants to take it away can do it, but I think Dave is probably the guy who's most enthused. So let's.
Yeah, the film is a movie called Kaboom, which is basically a it's a genre mashup of college teenage sex comedy, murder mystery, science fiction, cult film, softcore pornography,
with conspiracy theories.
Oh, conspiracy theories as well. And yeah, so basically the film is about a young man named Smith who is entering college and is now discovering that college is basically about sex and making horrible decisions. And Smith being, as he likes to refer to it, sexually undeclared. First of all, you have to understand that this film is structured exactly like an old school porn film.
Oh yeah.
About every 8
to 10 minutes, there's a sex scene. Yeah,
like a Skinemax porn.
Yeah,
right. Well,
it's like XXX Pirates or Pirates XXX, whatever that Pirates of the Caribbean porn parody was. That was like unusually high budget.
Yeah,
you know what this reminded me of the most is an episode of the Emmanuel series, or the Emmanuel in Space series, or something like that. Because it's, the stuff leading up to the sex usually is just this weird banter about things, and then suddenly sex, and really it has no part to the plot at all, other than just kind of showing the tanglings of all of the people and stuff like that, which is awesome. I liked it.
See, I heavily disagree with that. I heavily disagree.
Okay. Let's hear it.
I don't think I know that oftentimes when we say like, yes, well, there were sex scenes in this movie, but they were tasteful. I don't know that I would even necessarily classify it as that. Like, I think they were well composed. And there was really only like one or two times it's like, yep, it's got a horror element because we're seeing some titties. For Smith in particular, I would say, in addition to being kind of sexually undeclared as far as his orientation goes, he also seems to have, he's in that kind of weird stage that I've seen a lot of young men go through, where they almost don't know if they necessarily want to have sex with whoever is coming onto them, but like, I mean, I guess they want it from me, so I should give it to them. In any case, but every time that there is a sex scene in the movie, I feel like it does serve a purpose, and there's like a weird amount of like really good communication going on. London, I love London, by the way.
God, London's
Of course I
Yes.
do. And
You know
also,
Temple.
of course,
Sorry.
as soon as she enters for the first time, I'm like, oh, really? We're calling the English girl London? All right. Maybe it's a nickname, you know, kind of like
Maybe it's a stand-in in the script, and they never fit. They forgot to fix it.
people call it, hey,
Also,
Pittsburgh.
Also, London gets my favorite line in the whole film. Never mind, I'll drive.
Speaking of favorite, I have 2 points to make. My favorite line in the whole thing is I'd rather suck
Have
a
to
fart
piss
out
like
of a dead
banshee.
seagull's ass.
Yes.
Smith, that boy needs to get tested.
I mean, they don't show any condom use, but
I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with it's implied.
No, I'm gonna go with that. It's implied that they're not being used.
Confession time here. I watched a lot of Cinemax movies back in the early 90s and the 20s, and this feels like one. You know,
doesn't this have like a very 90s feel to the whole thing?
this feels-
Yeah.
Not just the costuming, but just like the color
It nodes
choices
the
of
old school
everything, the
Skinemax, yeah.
dialogue. It's very
Yeah.
90s. I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm into it too. I liked it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the problem I had with that is that it does kind of blend into all of those for me. So it doesn't stand out because of that. I mean, it was kind of cool that they went for that.
One of the discussions in the movie was on the Kinsey scale.
Mhm.
We want to talk Kinsey scale here.
If you guys didn't ask, I was be like, all right, do you guys find yourselves on the Kinsey scale?
I find myself on the Kinsey scale.
Refresh my memory. I kind of have a vague memory of what it is, but
0 is absolutely straight. And
hetero.
And what is it? 6?
Yeah, 6.
6 is absolutely gay.
Kinsey is one of those subjects. I mean, obviously, queer studies is a is a personal passion of mine, and so like I'm all about Kinsey. It's not the end all be all, and of course, this movie was released in 2010, and it had that kind of 90s feel to it, along with the casual homophobia all over the place.
Yeah,
but I'm okay with it because it very, very clearly illustrated a character trait for Rex and Thor.
Yeah.
Can I just say how much I love Thor?
And it
Those
does.
two are priceless.
Stella is the best friend,
her.
right? Stella is
Yes.
best friend. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Stella is
they
like-
showed
A twist on the gay best friend trope.
Yeah.
I like to think.
I thought it was well handled.
The scene that they showed of her in high school. That's the kind of girl I would have gone for in high school.
Yeah.
Same.
But speaking of Stella,
KBH.
Dave knows this for sure. Did or did not my first girlfriend look almost exactly like Stella in college?
Yes.
But with
Can confirm.
not so much the best.
Are you trying to get bloke points for that?
I'm trying to get bloke points for that. I am. But I couldn't believe it. I saw her. I was like, oh my God, the red hair, pretty face. She was really well designed.
Proportioned.
Yes. I mean, that was
like she's a video game character.
No, but
that's
that
what
was,
I said about the bloke points. What is this about?
But
I don't know. I think you're like making your case worse.
No, see, I'm okay.
Would you like a shovel? Might be easier than your
I
head.
didn't.
Yeah. So yeah, she was attractive.
Yeah.
Plus 2 bloke points.
Yeah.
We got away from the Kinsey scale thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I love that it got brought up. I love that London is like throwing out her guests there. She's a little presumptuous maybe, but I don't know. Smith seems to be into that, and I like that they are like friends, but they're not just like fuck buddies. They actually end up being friends who just happen to fuck sometimes.
They end up being half brother and sister.
Okay, I forgot about
I mean,
that. So
I don't
this
know
does
if that's
get us-
going to. I mean, a few things might affect them fucking in the future. Potentially the fact that the planet exploded.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Actually, I'm looking
Presumably.
I want to see a sequel to this film now.
I want to see a
Right?
series
Yeah.
based on it.
There is actually a series that's very similar to this that Greg Araki is the executive producer of.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And does it have
you
the
linked it to me.
weirdness
We'll have to
magnet
put a link
factor
Oh, yes.
to it?
We'll have to put a link to it.
I don't think
I've only seen the
Araki
trailer,
is
but I have to see
capable
the
of-
first season. Sorry.
What's that, Dan?
I don't think Araki is capable of making a movie that doesn't have the weirdness element.
Look, after Doom Generation,
Doom
you pretty much
Generation,
set
oh
your
my God.
fucking bar.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, so that's one of the reasons why this and I do like this movie, but I'm not as gung ho about it as maybe I would have been had I not seen the Doom Generation, because that's like a Natural Born Killers level
Oh, wow. Okay.
kind of filmmaking, and then this feels like it would have been an earlier movie in his career to me, maybe.
Although this came later than Doom
It did come,
Generation.
it came later, but it feels like it should be earlier.
Yeah,
This
I
kinda
thought
feels more like
everything,
him
all the
getting an-
elements.
Sorry.
I thought all the elements were intentional. I felt that the dialogue, the acting, everything else fell right into place with what he intended.
Yeah.
So that's what separates it for me, is that the fact that he tried, he seemingly tried to emulate a Skinemax movie. He did it perfectly. He did it with style.
Well, and do you think like he just really he combined all the Skinemax movies he had seen when he was younger, and it was
That's my
like, I'd
guess.
like it to have a plot though. Like, can I have
But-
Skinemax but with
Yeah.
a plot, a good plot, not just
but-
a hastily thrown together
But
one.
why did he put the plot in the last 12 minutes of the movie and make the
The
Skinemax
last
movie
12 minutes.
the last
I
8
could,
or something?
It's not in the
That-
12
it's-
minutes.
I
It's the
know
whole
you
thing.
already said, Dave, that like, yeah, the ending kind of falls apart, but I still fucking love this movie. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Like, Jay walked in like right as I want to say Oliver was, touching his temple, and there was a slight glow. Oh, by the way, he's, telekinetic.
Yeah.
I fucking love
I was like,
this movie.
Actually, I know it doesn't look like it, but this movie is really good. But that was during like the last 10-15 minutes of the film.
The last
And that's
10 or
where
15
it
minutes,
lost me, unfortunately.
yeah, the last 10 or 15
didn't need
minutes,
that.
I will actually stop before that part there, and I write my own punchline to it.
Yes.
The last
Same.
10 to 15 minutes feels an awful lot like, well, we just lost part of our budget, so we've got to wrap this up
Yeah.
somehow. And so they ended up having to write a different ending. That's my guess.
Okay.
because
Yeah,
there's-
that
there's so
feels
many-
like they ran out of time, or someone who happened to be all around with all around the person in charge of funding was like, yeah, there's no way you can end it like this, whatever this might have been. Either that or they ran out of time and they were just like, fuck it, fine, wrap it all up in a neat little bow. Conspiracy. Also, London and Smith are half siblings.
And to me, I think that that's kind of the way that feels. Everything else on this, I was sitting there watching, the first time I saw this, I was watching it at our local indie theater, a place called Film Streams in Omaha. And I'm sitting there going, they're throwing so many elements in this. How are they possibly going to wrap it up? Because the film needs to be longer for it to have a good, proper ending. And then when the ending happened, I kind of went, you know what? I don't care. Your reach exceeded your grasp, but God damn it, you tried it. And, that to me made, because there were so many elements, there were so many things they threw at the wall that I kind of respected the film simply for being willing to throw as many darts at it as they possibly could.
And the fact that there were so many elements, for whatever reason, it doesn't feel incongruous.
Yeah.
I mean, it has, especially because there are a lot of dream sequences and or bad trips in this movie.
Throwing up on
like
shoes.
it has a very surreal feel to it and everything. Everything feels like, yeah, sure, of course that happened. Why wouldn't
I'm
it?
fine with the surreality of the ending. I just feel like it's backloaded. Like plot.
See, it loses its
backloaded plot.
surrealism for me in the ending. That's what I didn't like. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
stop trying to explain it to me. I was fine with
Don't,
not
don't
knowing.
explain it. Keep it weird. Don't give me an ending.
I
where
think I
everything's
needed it.
wrapped up.
I think I needed a different edit of this same material to drop in more of not hints, but just set me up for like what the ending a little bit. Don't just like
Okay.
you know, give me a Cinemax movie, and then all of a sudden I'm watching the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's the part though where I'm like, I think that somebody who was in the producer's office or something said we need a solid concrete ending for this, and Greg went, fine, whatever, and wrote like the last 10 to 15 minutes of it to give him the ending that he wanted. I would like to actually, if I ever had the opportunity to meet Greg Araki, I would love to sit there and go, seriously, tell me about why the ending happened the way it did, because it feels like the producer made some contributions.
It's pretty ballsy to end the Earth at the end.
Okay, so all right, before you get into that, let's give our viewers a little bit of an idea what the actual plot sequence is.
Yeah, Dave.
So,
oh god,
yeah, could you give us?
How did you put it? Sex, sci-fi, sex, drugs,
murder
witch
mystery,
girlfriend, murder mystery,
Right.
sex, some more sci-fi, cult mystery,
Incest
sex,
subplot.
incest subplot.
incest subplot.
Yeah.
That's the end.
Okay, so basically Smith is going to what basically is, there's Caltech, but he's going to Cal Arts, which is, it's kind of, secondary, it's kind of its associated school. He's a film major. He's there with his best friend from high school, Stella. He goes to a party with Stella as her wingman, and then meets up with London. And then he ends up getting dosed with something, which is some kind of psychedelic drug. So he takes the cookie and is tripping his balls off, runs into London. London they end up having sex in a bathroom. And then afterward, he's walking away, tripping balls, runs into a redheaded girl. The redheaded girl is being chased by guys in animal masks. And yet somehow he wakes up in his room, doesn't quite know what's going on. Sex. Then his friend Stella meets a lady by the name of Lorelei, who is also a telepathic, magic abusing witch. It'll make sense, I swear to God.
Will it?
And he's
That's just
helping
Stella
her
just
deal with
puts
that.
it very matter of factly. She's like, "Yep, she's a witch."
Yep.
Like with supernatural powers and shit. But whatever. She's really hot.
Yeah. Which I have to be perfectly honest, if I was in that circumstance that Stella was in, dating a magical using witch, et cetera, but she's also really hot, I would have probably said it the same way.
I would have done the same thing, yeah.
So anyway, there's an ongoing mystery about his 19th birthday is coming up, and he keeps getting these weird notes. Also, he has a smokingly hot roommate named
Tragically
Thor.
straight. The way that Smith's fantasy goes at the very beginning of the movie, where our Thor comes back from a party, I could totally see him doing some shit like that.
Also, Greg Araki is obviously a massive music fan, because his Smith is being followed around by a cult called the New Order, and
Stella says, "You mean the seminal '80s band?"
And I'm also surprised that she didn't mention, because their Bible is called An Ideal for Living, which is the first ever single that was put out by Joy Division that would eventually become New Order. So anyway, the cult is following him around. You eventually find out that Smith's mom, who, by the way, did I mention is smoking hot? Holy shit. Anyway,
I think you might have.
Yeah, okay. Ended up being in a relationship with the leader of that particular cult, and that Smith is the child of the two of them. And the cult is now following him around because he is the chosen one who will lead the world into a better place. Chosen son, who will lead the world into a better place. But apparently, like any good cult leader, he's been going around having a lot of relationships. So long story short, the cult is following Smith around. They're constantly following around wearing black suits and animal masks because reasons. Right. And at the end, the cult basically kidnaps Smith. But London and some of his friends are coming out, who are like resistance members against the cult, are chasing after him.
Oliver.
And then it all ends. Okay, that's the plot synopsis. By the way, there's a lot of sex. There's some drugs. There's a murder mystery.
There's also some rock and
science
roll.
Fiction. There's rock and roll in there too, because
Yes.
Greg Araki put one of his favorite indie bands in it. It's a complete
Helen Stellar,
great name. It's a complete genre mashup, and I kind of love it for simply sitting there and going, much the same as I Am Not Completely Straight, much the same. This film has no one real genre it's sticking to. It's going with all of them.
yes.
Really,
and I would like to declare this movie is Mythos approved. Blam.
I would also like to declare this film as Squishy approved.
I think we have a trifecta, and only because of the scene where it's revealed that they're brother and sister. This is sleazy approved.
We have a triple crown winner.
We have a trifecta.
Ding.
The initial knowledge of it is a little bit shocking, but they don't seem like
No.
horrifically disgusted or anything,
No.
which I think that's fine. They didn't grow up together. They don't have a familial bond.
And
I'm only
London
slapping
actually-
I'm only slapping that on there because of the content, not because of the context.
I was going to say, so
Yeah.
the fact that Thor is trying to suck his own dick does
Yeah.
not make it
wait,
sleazy
yeah.
approved.
Oh shit! I forgot about
He
that.
was really gross, man.
I'm so drunk. I forgot that you referenced that earlier in the review.
Yeah, he was getting there.
Okay, that's another thing. Okay, yeah,
Well, there you go.
trifecta. Okay, but back to Dave or John.
I
Or
will
Kat.
real quick. Let's explain what Well, you already explained the sleazy aspect.
Yeah.
The mythos
Kat
aspect.
did a better job explaining it than I did.
Yeah. Oh, hey, before I go
let's be honest, if we could all do that, none of us would leave the house.
right. Well, so Kat, before I go into my mythos explanation, have you gotten any closer to a shtick?
I guess what I'm waiting for is clearly that's what I'm circling around, and I feel like, again, you don't have to share, but I feel like of the four of us, I am probably the least, not even the least straight. I'm the most queer. I am the queerest one.
Yeah.
So so on a Kinsey scale, then, with 0 being straight and 6 being absolutely gay, then absolutely queer is 3, right?
See,
or fluctuating.
Kinsey is weird for me because I'm non-binary and I'm attracted to non-binary people as well as people of other genders, because it's not just masculinity and femininity that I'm attracted to, it's other things as well. And so that's why I said pi, because yes, it's technically speaking in between, and I do use the term bisexual for myself, but part of that is because I'm trying to reclaim it a little bit after having abandoned the term so long ago, because it scared the lesbians away from me in high school and in college, and then it brought me nothing but sadness and strife from the straight people.
Gotcha.
But I also just like saying, yep, I'm the gayest non-binary bisexual you ever did see.
I think that's
what does that even mean?
Well,
I don't know, man. Think about it. Come back 3 hours later. Just tell me what it means.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It sounds a lot like the description of pan for me.
Yeah, and I've actually avoided that term for myself personally for years. Mostly just because I don't have any problem with the concept of it. The way that most people describe it is they are attracted to people regardless of gender. But most of the people back in the day that I knew who called themselves pan were kind of assholes, and they thought they were an advanced form of bisexual.
Okay.
Well, I don't care about what's between a person's legs.
See,
all
like to view
right,
pan.
you don't have to be like that. You can be attracted to whatever you're attracted to.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking game you can win.
I like to view pan as almost a gay Captain Kirk.
He likes to view everything through a filter of Star Trek. So this is not surprising.
Does that get him a bloke point back?
Well, he did lose a bloke point last week, but I think he gets one back this week. So
okay, I think it. Okay,
Plus
I'm sorry, I
one bloke
misspoke.
point.
It's not like a gay Captain Kirk. It's like a bi Captain Kirk, where not only
So Captain
does
Kirk.
it, yeah, so it
Captain
doesn't
Kirk is
matter.
straight up bi. Don't at me.
Yeah, okay, all right. So it doesn't really necessarily matter male or female, but it also doesn't matter if they're an alien. So I view I view Pan as universal. So when aliens, are introduced into our reality, if you find an alien attractive, then it won't matter that they're not human. So
as long as they're into it, man.
Yeah,
Am I into it? Are you into it? All right, let's
oh
do
my
this.
God, I am so waiting. If aliens came down right now, the first thing I would do is see if I found any of
Which
them
one of you wants to
attractive.
breed with me?
Yeah, or let's try, let's just try, whatever, you can have a, okay.
I'm just kind of chuckling, thinking of Clerks 2. Yeah,
Yeah,
there goes homeboy. Fucked a
well,
Martian once.
Oh, hey, okay. So I think that when aliens come about, I think there has to be a new Kinsey scale. I think it has to go through 12.
Oh, then it's got to be a 3D kind of like,
Well,
Yes.
see, no,
mapping
that's
out the
kind of
curve.
what I was getting at. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, it's not that I'm attracted to people regardless of their gender. I feel like it's just that there are a lot of pretty people in the world. I'm so sorry.
No, there are really. Okay,
There's
so
a lot
I
of
guess-
really pretty people in the world, and they're all attractive in a variety of ways.
Exactly.
Because
So-
like the Futch scale, I think, is a little bit more accurate than
Is that a
perhaps
real thing?
the Futch scale. Yeah, from
Oh.
high femme to stone butch. You got to look that up.
Oh,
Feel free to
okay.
display across the screen, Dan.
I will.
If we're I would call Stella a 2. I would also call London a 2. So like just below high femme, but they still got a little edge to them.
So the lower
But they
the
both
number,
really
the more-
love expressing themselves with makeup and crazy jewelry. What's that, Dan?
The lower the number, the more femme.
Yeah. So like 1 is high femme, 5 is stone butch, I think is the number scale.
Okay.
What was I saying? Oh, but yeah,
Pouch.
like since I like am a gender that is not of the binary, I usually describe it like, I don't know, like I know people say that gender is a spectrum, but like I think it's more like a cloud graph. It's 3D, and like there's shit all over the place that occasionally have lines drawing to each other.
That's an interesting.
And that's kind of
I like that.
that's kind of how I
description.
feel about sexuality as well.
Yeah.
But
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. When I was growing up, I thought I was a 0. When I got to college, I figured I was like a 0.5. After college and over the past 15 or so years, I've been closer to a 1. Yeah, since I figured out who Hunter Schafer was, I would say I'm probably a 2 at least.
Oh, jumped a whole point for Hunter.
Jumped the whole point. I would jump like 3 or 4 points for Hunter.
Well, and again, like I don't know that it's always, a solid spot for everyone all the time, because like even for people who, would think of themselves as like solid zeros, sometimes you just meet people that like for whatever fucking reason you're just like, you're the most intriguing, attractive person I've ever come across. What is happening in my loins?
Well, it's what I think of as the David Bowie moment, because I discovered Bowie during I think the first time I saw Bowie, it was during the Thin White Duke period, and I'm sitting there going, literally, I have no idea what it is that I'm looking at, but it looks amazing, and I'm seriously attracted to it. Then I saw Brett Anderson from Suede, the band from the UK, and went, okay, I'm pretty solidly a 2 at this point, because by and large attracted to women, but if I had a chance with him, oh my God, yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
In a
And so you
fucking
can
heartbeat.
keep adding to that list.
Even Thomas Dekker, who played Smith,
Yeah.
that
God,
drives me
he's
closer to
smoking
that
hot.
too,
Jesus Christ.
And God,
I love moody artists. Like no matter what their gender or what their presentation is like, moody artists almost always does it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, this was quite the film for anybody, really. Oh, I was going to bring up the whole the last 10 or 12 minutes falling apart thing. Not to drastically switch gears here, but so I know that almost everybody is in agreement that the last 12 minutes falls apart. However, I have a different thought on that. I think that I don't think it was a budget issue. I mean, it could have been, but I have a feeling it wasn't. I think it was one of those, you know what? So many films turn out where the heroes save the earth, or, the day, or whatever, or the relationship. It doesn't have to always end that way. And okay, so Dave, you were saying that you would like a sequel. I'm going to offer you a sequel.
Okay.
Pitch it.
Let's back up 15 minutes from the end of the movie.
Okay.
And let's start a Call of Cthulhu campaign.
I'm with that. I'm in. I could run a Delta
right
Green
there,
that's so
that would be a
hard.
good campaign.
Yeah, there.
You've already got some really good characters to choose from. Oh God, I wonder if anyone has like written up an RPG campaign based on Kaboom.
I doubt it.
After we finish this, I would like to go Google and just say, like, just in case, has anyone ever? No.
That may have to be my next project.
Honest to God, there's a paper and pen RPG. I'm going to have to look it up because I can't remember the title off the top of my head. But long story short, it's teens and kind of like early 20-somethings, all of whom are fighting to save the world using mechs and stuff. But at the same time, in order for them to have a level of control over it and the ability to use it, there is an emotional connection they need with someone else.
Is this
And
Evangelion?
People. What's that?
Evangelion?
It's Evangelion is definitely where they got a lot of the plot from it.
Okay.
I'll look it up because this game does actually exist, and the amount of sex you're having and the amount of emotional connection that you have with people actually goes hand in hand with an awful lot of how the game mechanics of this works. In terms of like, I don't know if they were just sitting around going, let's make Evangelion the softcore porn RPG, but I'll hunt it down and see if I can find it. So anyway, we were talking about a film, weren't we?
Yeah, sorry.
I was under the impression but it was related. It was related.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where we're at because I'm jumping back in, but
John suggested, or he pitched us a sequel, but instead of it being a film, it is apparently going to be a tabletop campaign. So we stop. I'm trying to think if I wanted to stop before Kelly Lynch calls Smith. I don't remember what his mom's actual name is.
Oh, don't stop. Don't stop.
Like
Sorry.
Well, look, if anything, if London teaches us anything in this movie, you should ask for what you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ask for what you want. If you're not feeling it, say so. Speak up. I fucking love her.
I love her too.
She's just awesome as a character all the way through. She is both very much a character that is a caregiver and at the same time takes exactly zero shit from people, and it's something that I genuinely like about her. The scene where she's having sex with Rex and he's performing oral on her and she starts giving critique, I thought was pretty amazing, and lessons too.
Yes.
Slurp.
So helpful.
Hopefully that scene helps some viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I myself don't need
London's
any
just out here,
advice, but
trying to get folks to take a little bit more time with the cunnilingus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tis
Like
not. It's not lofty and unattainable, but it is an art. It must be practiced.
Exactly.
And refined.
But I think the thing that I absolutely love about the reason that I enjoy this film is that it is kind of like you can sit there and write your ongoing fantasy over this entire world.
Yeah.
And you can kind of put yourself in the position of it, but it's also a situation where you can sit there and feel as though you are exploring without at the same time, putting yourself in a position of any particular real danger. It has that feeling that you get in college where you're like, I am away from any form of control right now, and I can, indulge all the things that I've ever wanted to do.
Oh
and
yeah,
get a line on who I am.
It feels very realistically frosh, college
Yes.
frosh.
Okay, so let's all make the quick poll around here.
Okay.
Yes.
Dave, I think we know that you give this a press play.
I am definitely a fan of this. I love the fact that somebody went through all the time and trouble of creating this particular piece of madness, and for that, I am definitely a press play on it. It's worth seeing, if for no other reason, just because it is so completely different from anything else you'll ever watch.
Yeah.
That's true.
I give it an absolute, press play, and yeah, press play.
That's all he has to say.
Cat.
Kat also says press play. There's a lot of really fun use of color throughout this entire film.
It's a remarkably well shot movie. Yeah.
Yeah. There was like one change, one sequence transition where like there was a bright light and it felt very awkward, like it wasn't supposed to be there. But other than that, like I love the way that it's shot. I love the surrealism in it. I love all the dream sequences, obviously. And the queer shit is pretty good. The queer shit is pretty good. I was kind of ready for it to be bad. Like I know that you love this movie, Dave, and I was like, all right, I'm ready for whatever. I'm ready for whatever. I feel like the queer shit I feel like the queer shit might not be very good, but it was pretty good. And this is coming from your residential queer.
I would not have picked this film if I felt that that the queer stuff in there wasn't handled in a way that was tasteful. If it came across as something that was, I don't know, accusatory or looking down at people, would never have happened.
Well, right. And it also like, again, the casual homophobia, it for me really was just like a time setting device, again, putting you in that kind of 90s college world, but like everything with Stella, and even though Lorelai happens to be a crazy bitch, and I hope that, if the world didn't actually blow up and it was all just a metaphor, that Stella found someone who could handle her intensity, and was not pushed over at what you call her, crazier than a rat, crazier than a shithouse rat.
Yeah.
But definitely press play. I think there's a lot of really interesting things in the movie, and like you can like start to pick yourself up, and you don't necessarily need to watch the ending to enjoy it. But even if you do, I think you'll come away. I think you'll come away enjoying it. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in here.
The title only means anything if you watch the end, though.
That's very true. Yes.
I'm sort of on the fence. I'm going to go with press play because it's interesting enough, and it does present a better view of a healthier view of some things, and it for me, the only thing that kind of almost makes, I wish there was like a project rating where you can play and eject, because
how about a pause?
A pause. Hey,
you can hit the pause button because you're on the fence, and if you think about it, the pause button kind of looks like a fence.
It's true. I'm gonna say press pause. Hey, wow, you invented a new thing for the show.
All right, I haven't figured out my area of expertise yet, but I invented the press pause.
Yes, we are
Love
pressing.
you, Kat.
I am pressing pause on this movie because it's very interesting. It's very well done in a lot of ways. For me, it just falls apart in that last act.
It completely falls apart at that point. But literally, I just reached a point where I'm like, and the second that I see that phone call happen.
And I can totally see why someone would say there's enough front loaded before that to make it worth watching. I think if you're on the fence about watching it, veer toward watching it rather than not watching it. I'm just throwing it out there that the ending doesn't work for me. It's just
it didn't work for me either. I'll be honest.
On the Danzy scale, it's about a 2.5 to a 3.5.
The Danzy scale.
It's a 2.5. If it was a 4-star rating, it would be a 2.5. It's almost a good movie. It would be a good movie it actually would be a better movie without the ending. If they would just chop the ending right off, it would be a good movie.
Yeah.
Press pause.
Keep it open and then, stop about 12 minutes before the end and then just put "to be continued" and we'll write the script.